What's going on, MMA fans? I'm back to do my UFC on Versus 3 Sanchez versus Kampmann predictions taking place March 3rd from the KFC Yum Center in Louisville, Kentucky. This event, of course, is on Versus. Going to work my way from the bottom of the main card up to the top like I normally do. First fight of the night, Brian Bowles taking on Damacio Page. Two have fought previously. Bowles ended up winning that one in the first fight between the two of them via guillotine in the first round. Damacio Page, good kickboxing, decent wrestling, decent grappler. Brian Bowles, definitely the bigger guy in this fight. Solid boxing, solid wrestling base, talented grappler on the ground. Doesn't get enough credit there, and I think he has an underrated ground game, in fact, with his grappling. I think that everywhere that Damacio Page is good, Brian Bowles is better. The boxing aspect. Bowles is also very good in the clinch. I think he can use his size to, put Page in some precarious situations against the cage. Use some dirty boxing. Look for a single or a double or even a clinch takedown and put Page on his back. He can do that. He can stand with Page. He's got very good technical boxing and very good counters as well. So I think that Bowles, again, like I said, has the advantage here in most aspects of this fight, whether it be on the ground, in the clinch, or even boxing. But I think Bowles is going to take this one, probably by a second round TKO. I think he will use some clinch situations against Page, maybe create some separation and land a shot. But I see a second round TKO for Brian Bowles in this fight. Alessio Sakara versus Chris Weidman. Sakara, has had some issues with getting opponents as of late. He was supposed to fight Natal for this fight. Natal ended up pulling out due to injury. Sakara ends up getting Chris Weidman. Weidman is definitely a guy that's a prospect. Everyone has been up on this guy and talking about how he has a lot of upside. Of course, training out of Matt Serra's gym, purple belt in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, solid wrestling base, collegiate wrestler. Pretty good hands overall. But I think that this is a huge step up in competition for him against Sakara. Sakara is, like I said already, a BJJ brown belt, solid boxing with an amateur background that he has. I think that Weidman will try to use some combinations to set up some takedowns, but Sakara is crafty enough and has decent enough takedown defense that, I do believe he can keep this standing, try to land some shots on Weidman. And I see a late first round stoppage for Sakara. I think he will catch Weidman in a mistake. As much as, again, like I said, I've seen some of Weidman's fights. I think he has a lot of upside. I think he has a lot of talent. But I think this is a fight that's too early for him at this stage. Maybe a guy a little bit lower down on the ladder at 185 to kind of give him a test and to work his way up. But I think Sakara is a guy that's going to give him some problems. And I see a first-round stoppage, first-round TKO for Alessio Sakara. So hopefully Weidman, if for whatever reason, and if I am correct on this pick, they'll give him another shot because he does have a lot of upside. He does have a lot of talent. And he's definitely a guy to look out for future-wise at 185. But who knows? He could prove me wrong. I just see it going that way. CB Dalloway versus Mark Munoz. Both these guys, collegiate wrestlers. CB Dalloway, of course, has had some issues off and on with his gas tank. His grappling is still an area that he needs to improve upon. Mark Munoz is a talented wrestler. Has really improved with his boxing. Has improved with his grappling. This is another situation where, we talked about Brian Bowles and Damacio Page, but I think Mark Munoz is the better wrestler here when it comes to MMA. I think he's the better boxer as well. I think his grappling is better, and I think that, along with the fact that he has cardio, I think a little bit more so than CB Dalloway. I see Munoz taking this one. I'll say late second, early third round TKO for Munoz. Dalloway, if he comes in and actually has improved in that cardio aspect, improved that area of his game, he could try to counter wrestle and put Munoz on his back. But I think Munoz is going to be able to push the pace, put Dalloway in some situations that he does not want to be in, primarily, some exchanges in the pocket and putting Dalloway on his back. and I think he'll be able to wear down and eventually stop CB Dollaway. So that's going to be my pick. Late second, early third round TKO for Mark Munoz. Martin Kampmann versus Diego Sanchez. Kampmann, a talented kickboxer, brown belt in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, has pretty good offensive wrestling, decent takedown defense. This is a really interesting fight between both of these guys. Diego Sanchez, a brown belt in BJJ, a black belt in Gai Jiu-Jitsu. His hands are still improving. He's still working on that. His wrestling is solid. His kickboxing is solid as well. But one of the things that he's running into and he's having an issue is primarily these younger guys that are able to push the pace on him like he does to individuals. A guy like John Hathaway that put him in situations and put Diego on his back. Was landing some good combinations on the feet with his boxing. And that was something that Diego, definitely, not only needed but needs to still improve on is that area of his game is his boxing and his kickboxing, even though it is still, pretty good overall for the most part. But regardless, interesting fight. I think that both of these guys, it's not a secret. Diego's more than likely going to want to try to put Martin on his back. Martin's going to want to try to keep this standing and try to use his, I believe, superior striking that he does possess over Diego. But I think this one's going to end up being a grappling, or a grapple fest, as I like to say. Both of these guys are talented on the ground, both solid grapplers. And I think that this fight has the potential of being an exciting fight as far as the grappling aspect is concerned, with both of them being high-level grapplers. So I do think that Kampmann will be able to pick his spots on the feet, as well as Diego will be able to put this on the ground. I think we're going to see this fight in multiple positions: clinch, on the ground, standing, with both of these guys exchanging. And I see a decision in this one. I think this is going to be a close fight. Both these guys have, talented ground games. And I think that alone will make this exciting with some of the scrambles that I believe we will see in this fight. So I'm going to say, this is really a tough one to call, but I'm going to go with Diego Sanchez via a unanimous decision. I think he will do enough to take 2 of the 3 rounds in this one. And I would not be surprised if we see a split in this one either, where it is that close. But that's going to be my pick, Diego Sanchez via unanimous decision. I think he'll be able to do enough in 2 of the 3 rounds to win the fight. So, again, a solid main event. 3 pretty good fights on the main card for this event. So if you have an opportunity on Wednesday to watch this, make sure that you watch it. I unfortunately will not be able to be back to do a review on this one, only because I have to take care of a few things and have to go out of town. I will be back sometime this week, though, to do a Strikeforce breakdown for Feijiao and Henderson, because that is a card that I'm also looking forward to, and I definitely want to get predictions out on that. So, hope you guys enjoyed the breakdown. Leave some comments, as always, constructive, negative, positive. I'll be back this week to do my breakdown for Strikeforce, Feijiao versus Henderson, and you guys, take it easy.